And we're live. First time ever, no cap recap on the hustle. Dude, me and you've been trying to get up for a minute and just talk wrestling. And I'm the world's worst at saying I'm going to get on a podcast and then stuff happens and we don't. But we're making it happen this morning. Dude,
what's up, my man?
Adam Fellers, the Iowa legend. All right.
Yeah. Like some kind of legend. I don't know about Iowa, but
so here's the deal. So like I used to hear Piles and those guys talk about Fellers, and I'd see a tweet every now and then. And then I guess it probably was Big Tens last year. We actually got to like sit and like talk wrestling and this, that, and the other. And then like I guess since then, like texts here and there, DMs here and there. And then like me and you are starting to figure out like, holy smokes, like we're pretty freaking similar in a sense of we're both pretty crazy about wrestling where our passion is just off the chart, sometimes misplaced, but it's all with good intentions. But like, man, who would have thought that an Iowa hater such as myself would be linking up with a guy like you?
Well, I mean, everybody comes around. Everyone wants to be part of a winner at some point, right? So you can fight it for so long, and sooner or later you just get on the train.
Yeah,
I mean, we might be similar. I'm a lot better looking, but no, I agree. A lot of passion. Yeah, it was Big Tens.
Yeah, because we were
you
all
recall matches. I remember the first time I listened to the Scuffle. It might have been last year, the year before. And I text Pyle, I go, "Who is this guy you got announcing?" And the more I listen, I would just start dying laughing.
Yeah, sometimes the Kentucky mud flap, what some people refer to me as the Kentucky mud flap. I think
I've been accused of that more than once. I mean,
yeah.
Tom Brand still sometimes like, you're not the mud flap, are you? And I kind of give him that look like he's not sure. He gets that little grin on his face, just walks away shaking his head.
Right. I think the thing about us is it's an acquired taste. Like we're both kind of fast talking, like get our ideas out there a lot. But I think a lot of times it's like you either kind of like it or you just hate it, which I'm okay with.
Which I don't really care. I mean, that's
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm
guess
okay
that's. With. I mean, not arrogant or rude. Just kind of it is what it is, and I'm myself, and people like it or they don't like it. So.
One thing I do like about you is, and this is the no cap recap. You speak your mind. If you think the Iowa guys aren't gonna win or not up to snuff, like you're pretty brutally honest about it. That's what I can appreciate. But
no homer here. I mean, I think in life, I think the guys know. I mean, I could go back in the room and say the same things to him, and I have said some of the same things to him. Not that my opinion matters, but I mean, I'm not going to say one thing talking to you, right, and then go there and play the fanboy card. So, that honesty is appreciated, and the leader of the pack would be the same way. What Tom Brand? There's a lot of times Tom Brand's told me some things that I didn't really want to hear, but I needed to hear, right? And transparency is the best way to operate. So, I think it goes a long ways.
I can appreciate that.
What about that duel, though? I mean,
so that's.
I wish you'd have came. I mean, if you people can watch on TV, you can hear about it, you can read about the stats, you can be whatever. You walk in that people. I mean, it was freaking packed. When weigh-ins are happening, I bet the place is 3/4 full. The amount of energy in there. I mean, you I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, and I don't think it's really a saying. I think it's reality. Is every kid grows up wanting to wrestle for the Hawkeyes at some point, right? And a lot of them don't or whatever, a lot of different reasons. But you go into that arena, it'd be pretty hard not to want to strap it up and wrestle in there. And unbelievable environment. Obviously, unbelievable duel, a lot of twists and turns. Kale, as always, he's the gangster of gangster.
Is
his guys
were
ready. They were ready. They were ready.
Well, that's the thing, man. Every time, and I'm not against Penn State or for Penn State. Like, I don't want to refer to it as the Steinbrenner model, but it just seems like with them, the rich always get richer. And at some point, you're just like, man, doggone it, man. They're just good, and we just got to be okay with them being good. And then people are like, oh, well, they just get the cream of the crop talent. And then no, they're developed guys. Like, so, like, not to get off on a tangent, but like, man, it just seems like, and I'm looking at some of these predictions, like, and I was giving Sam Herring a heck of a time on Twitter. And like, I think a lot of people thought I was picking on him, and I don't know him. I know Sam very, very well through camps and just watching him and his whole family grow up in wrestling. And like he had him like scoring 8 points. And I'm just like, come on, like Iowa's some of the best Iowa we've seen in a minute, but Penn State scoring 8 points. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, and we can get into it, but they scored, what was the final score? 19-17?
Yeah, something like that.
11 points came in 2 matches.
Yeah.
6-4 in matches.
Yeah.
Going back to the cream of the crop talent, I mean, and Askren and I could go round and round about this, about developing talent or not. But if you go back, I mean, you're from the South, right?
Yeah.
You watch football, I assume. I mean, how many 3-star recruits? How many 3-star recruits does Alabama have on their team? Or Clemson?
A significant amount. And a kid I coached in high school, Damian Tomlinson, who's now playing for the Giants. I'm
making the thing like the top tier programs, right?
They get top tier talent.
You're damn right. And if you look at this year's, I went back and kind of looked at the pound for pound from high school rankings when they all graduated, right? I mean, Penn State had 5 top 10 pound for pounds, 7 in the top 20, 8 in the top 50 pound for pound when they graduated. Iowa had 4 in the top 10, 6 in the top 20, and 8 in the top 50 pound for pounds. So, I mean, when Tom Brand said it was a heavyweight slugfest, it was a heavyweight slugfest. Now, there were some matches that were overmatched and lopsided. Some things happened, but where there was giants to swing, I mean, they swung, man. They swung big. I loved it. Yeah, so I know where you want to start. You want to start on like with probably, I mean, and this is no Iowa favoritism and whatever, but and probably going to sound crazy, but Cale Sanderson didn't even dominate like Spencer Lee's dominating.
Man, I'll tell you.
People say, "Oh, D1, no D1." I'm going to tell you everybody this right now. D1 backup, second string guy that's on the mat. I mean, those are 1%ers, right? It's easy. It's easy from the quarterback. He's not this. He's not. He is. I mean, dismantling top tier kids, even to get an opportunity to step on these teams, right? I mean, it's.
I sit there and watch him. I mean, I'm a technique snob. You're a technique snob, like a snob. Maybe might be.
I'm not a snob, no.
but we're technique guys. Like you. We were talking the other day. We've both watched the Mark Hall freaking match like a million times. That match was insanity. And I'm trying to, and I'm watching Spencer Lee over and over and over again, and just trying to figure out what is he doing. You could say, oh, he's just he's that much stronger than everybody. What are the tiny things that guy's doing that every freaking body in the planet knows exactly what he's going to do, and he still does it? And I mean, you could throw Seabass in there all you want, but again, like he is smashing top tier talent.
Spencer's at a different level this year. I mean, I think if you go back even to the U.S. Open in Texas, right, in Dallas, he gave up some takedowns. I mean, to the 25-pounder from Cornell, Vito, and Tomasello took him down. And guess what? If you go back and watch maybe last year before, Spencer get taken down or give up some points, he get rattled, right? Or he looked like he got rattled. He got taken down by Vito twice, and Tomasello, I think, once. And he came back to the middle, and he went harder. I think he grew up. I think he's grown up. I mean, I just think he's grown up a ton. Obviously, at Iowa, as big as it is, I mean, he is the face of the program. I mean, I'd seen a thing with him with the freaking president of the university. I think he's kind of just maybe accepted the role that he's in now, not fought it and let it bother him. I mean, I mean, this is going to sound crazy probably to some people. It may not happen, and I'm not being an Iowa homer saying this. He could bonus point his way all the way through the season.
Very well could. And I mean, you can make the case for, like you said, so these guys taking Olympic red shirts and this, that, and the other. But I mean, did you think he's going to go through the U.S. Open like he did? No. Okay. I mean, and again, like I said, like right when you, and some of these guys are the same way. Like right when you think, like this isn't college wrestling anymore. This isn't high school wrestling anymore. This is the senior level, and like some of these guys just continue to impress us. And here's the deal. And this is one thing that we forget. And I have to remind people over and over, whether it's my parents in my club or just fans or this, that, and the other, you're taking, I don't care what they did in high school and what life they lived and the level that they competed on, you are taking a child, whether they're 18 or 19, you are taking a child that never lived away from home. You're putting him in a different part of the world. I don't care if it's 2 hours down the road or 15 hours away from home. They're having to learn so much about just growing up and being an adult on top of a new training environment that requires a lot more than they were required of at home. And you could say, oh, well, this guy came from Young Guns and blah, blah. It doesn't matter. You're coming from a completely different environment, not training environment, but as far as social, mom and dad being involved, structure,
100%.
Then you got this freedom on your own. So you're having to learn how to live on your own. Number one thing that's tough as hell to do, right?
It's a full-time job at 18.
Absolutely. You're doing, just doing your own laundry. So I struggle with doing adult stuff. I'm 43. So then you ask this kid to train on a different level. He's going from Young Guns and Franklin Regional into the Iowa room. There's another level that's raised. Then you're going from, wrestling and Ironman and Beast and some of these other tournaments. Now you're wrestling in Carver Hawkeye. There's another level that these guys have to jump, and they're not superhuman. As much as we think Spencer Lee's a superhuman, he's a human. Keyword in that is human.
They're not robots.
So you have to appreciate that. And when those aspects come into their life and affect them as humans, it's like, oh, we forget about that. Even though he's won everything under the sun, just because you win a real big wrestling tournament in high school doesn't mean you have superpowers all of a sudden and you can just deal with the rest of the world. We've seen guys that were top of the game and start having personal issues with their girl or social issues. That affects them. They're human. Just because they're rock star athletes in college, doesn't make them immune to any of this stuff. And the fact that guys like him can put together consistency like he has at the highest level and dominate, just peels my cap back some days. I'm just, holy smokes. This is impressive. And it's not just him. There's other guys.
It is impressive.
But,
I think if you're, no, I'm going to be the cynic here a little bit. I think if you're, Tom Brands, Terry Brands, the Iowa staff, right? I think the next challenge you put out there for Spencer is listen, you're smashing everybody. You're attacking everybody. We need pins. So I think that's what you saw Friday night is, he could attack that kid in, I don't know, maybe a minute 30, honestly.
Right.
But he's trying to keep working, trying to get the fall. And again, that's you're talking the elite trying to ask them to get to the next level. And that's the challenge for him. Him going out there, him getting ready for the trials April 4th and at Penn State, trying to make Olympic team. Him just going to minute matches all year, right? Then he gets into a dogfight, maybe first round with Suriano or something like that. You've got to, he just can. I'm saying that the NCAA championship for him again, number 3.
Detour real quick.
A whiz, right?
Detour real quick. Does Suriano ever wrestle another college match?
I think Suriano's right now. He's I'm
90%.
My own personal opinion. I don't know the
no.
kid. I just watch him afar, right? I think he's taking some advice or doesn't have very good. He doesn't have a strong circle around him that's trying to hold him accountable to. He's having an identity crisis. He doesn't know what he wants to do. So one week he's doing this, the next week he's doing that. And I tell you what, that's a hard. I've lived that, maybe at his age, not to near that level. I think everybody has at some point. Some people are. It's publicly, some people isn't. You better find out who you are first. And it was Penn State and it was to Rutgers. Now it's going to be a movie star. He's going to do all these things, but there's no quick fix in life. Where he's trying to get to, and again, he's a phenomenal wrestler. Unbelievable, okay? But if he's not happy and at peace with himself and who he is versus what he's trying to be, like him going to Italy that was a publicity stunt BS, right? Like okay, you're going to go there and show up and I'm going to roll around with Frank. Why don't you come over and wrestle then? I don't get what he's doing. Him showing up and not having a singlets at the freaking Farrell. This isn't a game, man. You're dealing with top tier professionals that live.
Inside scoop on that. Inside scoop on that. So the thing with Farrell, which was funny, that's just funny. believe it or not, I've dealt with athletes and sponsored athletes. Those guys, I'll go ahead and throw his name out there because I love him to death, but he's a scatterbrain as he could be. Nashawn Garrett. We sponsored Nashawn for a while, and like he would literally show up to tournaments and leave his singlets at home. So that's
funny because Nashawn let Suriano borrow his singlet.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So when they were coming to the next tournament, Suriano's dad like reached out to a mutual friend of ours and was like, "Hey, we need some singlets." So on the fly, I make some singlets, send them to him, overnight them. Just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like I ain't charging them, whatever.
No, I get it.
Guess what? He don't even wear them. He shows up wearing a completely different singlet. So
I get that, but he doesn't even know who his coaches are. Like you got to have consistency.
Amen.
Who's he training? Like now he's with Pico's coach.
Yeah, Valentine.
Is he with him or isn't he with him? I mean, it looks like he's with him. I don't know.
Like I
don't know.
That's
enough about that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't want to get off on a Suriano tangent.
Like what he's doing is phenomenal. I think we, you could get if he finishes the year like this and next year. I mean, I know he's gonna have some blemishes on his record, but as far as dominating career, it'll be the most dominant career
ever in the history of Earth.
I mean, I think so.
All right.
I mean, that's putting it out there, and pull up Zane. I mean, Zane didn't tech everybody in a period.
I mean, probably the next default I would go to in my brain of just sheer dominance, and I think one thing that I appreciate that some people might not is like we got to a very neutral driven sport for a while, and now it's circling back around because we got some good mat wrestlers. When David Taylor was coming through and just beating the brakes off everybody on the mat and really showing his mat game, there is not a lot of guys that were doing it on the level on the mat that he was doing. Now we got, well, yeah, but I mean, again, like I'm not talking about like you can't name 15 guys back then that were wrestling really good on the mat. There's 10 or 12 guys right now. Like you got Wick and you got some of these other guys that's like you got Gross, like, and we can talk about Gross. Don't put
Caleb Young in that crowd, please.
But I mean, you got guys now that it's like you don't even think about going under them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like we're seeing a resurgence in mat wrestling, and I knew this was going to happen. Me and you are just going to get off on tangent after tangent.
All right, I'm sorry. Let's get back on to
it. So let's go. Nick Lee, I think is the next
natural
stop progression. No, okay, so we're not. All right,
you mean progression? I mean, you're going to skip over RBY and DeSanto?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to come back to it?
I'm just kidding. Go, talk to me. Talk to me about the win that's not a win.
Listen, when I walked down the tunnel, okay, RBY's in the back, kind of Carvey, come off the elevator, walking off the team, come the tunnel, and I look to the left. RBY was there to take somebody's soul. I mean, he just had that look in his eye. He was ready to, like, he ate the environment up. Like, sometimes the big stage or whatever gets to you. We'll get to that later with Mark Hall, which is surprising as well. But Mark Hall was, I mean, RBY, he was ready to kill or be killed, and got to a position. It may not look like a lot to a lot of people on TV. You got people saying, "Oh, he squealed," whatever. I can tell you that I'm not going to get into the specifics. I can tell you that the injury definitely did happen. The grade, not sure. It may look, everybody's different. I just seen a tweet this morning from David McFadden, same position, didn't look like much. That's why he tore his ACL his freshman year, right? To think that DeSanto was just going to roll over and quit and squeal just to squeal. That's listen, he may deserve that for things that he's done to other people on the mat. Sometimes karma comes full circle, right? The public bashing. But I'll tell you, that's not DeSanto. His knee's definitely hurt. Hopefully it's not too hurt. I always said this Iowa race is going to come down. There could be an injury or two that happens and it could change everything. But credit to RBY. I mean, his reattacks, how they scouted him, he had his elbow back. As soon as DeSanto came to an overtie, he freaking posted and blew through him. He was dominating the match up until the point he got hurt and when the injury happened. People can say, well, he should have got the pin. Listen, couldn't have been a better scenario for Penn State. 6 on the board on something was a swing match, right? It's a 9-point swing plus Terry Brands loses a freaking team point. So it's actually a 7-point freaking swing in that match.
And talk about that. So you were literally right behind the coaches' chairs.
Listen, it's high emotions already with the duel, right?
Well, yeah, but I saw something. I saw a couple people tweeting and breaking it down because I'm like, the chaos is going on, and I'm more focused on what's going on the mat. And then you see Brands and those guys. The ref told them not to come out on the mat, and he did anyways.
Yeah, they want to get to their athlete, right? I mean, listen, that's not going another tangent, but I'm just saying that's wrestling aside. That's why I roll with Tom Brands till the end is. They want to be there with their athletes. Their athlete's hurt. He's in pain. They're not going to sit there on the side and just watch. And
let me ask you this. And Tom Brands even said in an interview, I think it was after the duel last week.
He panicked.
It was like, I think it was last week. It was before this duel. He even mentioned, hey, I've got to keep my emotions in check a little bit better. I've got to calm down a little bit more on the sidelines. It wasn't like Tom Brands being sarcastic Tom Brands to the news guy. It sounded genuine to me that like, he's starting to understand that sometimes, I don't want to say antics. I think a lot of people think it's antics, and you know him way better than I do. I've got to know Terry
more than Tom. Terry more than Tom.
But
Terry lost the team point, not Tom.
Okay, so here's the deal, though. Like, are they just like me, just like you, just like all these other athletes? The more I coach, the more I interact, like the more I understand what I need to do and how efficient I need to be as a coach. And you'll have guys like Kale and Roper and stuff like that. They're like, no matter what's going on there, as cool as a fan. And I'm like, no way I could be that cool. But like, are you starting to see, and you're closer to the program than me, are you starting to see those guys understand that, look, I got to bring the level of intensity that my team expects of me as a coach, but I also got to know that there's certain times where I can't be that guy. I got to be a little bit more calm for my athletes, for my team, for the environment. Like,
I think everybody plays a role on a staff, right? I think Tom has taken a more, like, there's a lot of times if you go back and watch a lot of these duels, Tom just sits there and he's not saying a word. He there has to be a balance, because if the emotions get too high or low, right, you affect and impact your athletes positively or negatively, right?
100%.
I think if you're riding the refs about stall calls and what you thought was a bad call, and you're doing this or you're doing that, and they're out for us, whatever. That also comes full circle too, because these guys are going to be the same guys that are officiating in the NCAA tournament, right? And they don't forget anything either. And this is the time in their life, like it or not, they have control over you, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? So you have to be smart about that part as well. I think this particular case, so I'd say to you, Fretwell, is that, I mean, you want to talk about as much energy as you could ever get. Spencer Lee just had a 5-point set coming off. You're against number one. Ultimately, in essence, DeSanto wins this match, the duel's over, right? In everybody's mind. And you want to talk about, the energy when DeSanto squealed and went to his back, right? All that energy, it was silent as could be in that arena, and it sucked out. And then it got sucked out at 41, and it just a little bit came back at 49, and then back down, the bowl and all. You keep going, but all the energy was 99% of it was out of the arena during that match. So yeah, they may probably reacted emotionally. I'm going to be with my athlete too if I'm a coach like that. You want to be there by their side. Didn't know how bad it was. Tom said in the thing afterwards, maybe DeSanto overreacted, maybe could have went, couldn't have went. Fact of the matter is, what happened. It's a really great, I'm going to say, tactic, or you've seen the same thing in some other matches. Penn State does a really good job there, and a lot of other guys do. And listen, I'm not saying it's not. I don't know if it's legal or is illegal. I know it's a good tactic, because guess what happens? You get to a shot like that, and you're down. You don't cut the corner. You don't get your head up and get off the feet. That's why you got to get the leg, get up to your feet right away. Drive up to your feet or get the corner. And I grab your foot, your toe, whatever, and I pull a little bit that way. Well, naturally, what are you going to do? Your knee either freaking snaps, right?
Well, did you see Askren's kind of explanation?
Or you post and turn into it. It's the biggest. You want to talk about clickbait, whatever bait. It baits you right to a cradle, and they wait and they jump it.
I run a scramble camp or two around the country, and I defer to me. Ben Askren and Lee Roper are the gold standard when it comes to scrambling. I get a lot of credit for being the scrambling guy. I got the fundamentals and the baseline idea from a system Roper dreamed up back in the day. The first people I ever saw teaching scrambling was Mitch Clark and his brother. They came out with an old DVD called Scrambled Legs. And I mean, if you watched it today, you're like, geez, what are these guys showing? Of course we know that. I mean, back then there was no method or rhyme or reason or progression to scrambling.
What Askren say?
Well, Askren broke it down. He's actually
Askren, the Hawkeye fan. What did he say?
Yeah, he actually put up a video. He shot a video yesterday, and he talked about if you and again, I show this exact same position from a single leg. Look at Jay Jaggers.
You heard what I just said?
I heard you. I
love that. I mean, listen.
So no, let me finish. So Jay Jaggers made an absolute living off that exact same position. I'm sure over the course of his career, there were some guys that got in a little weird position with their hip and their knee. At what Askren did talk about, he said, if you pull the foot up towards the butt and then try to swing it out, whether you're grabbing the toe or the heel, much more dangerous position. If you keep it down on the mat and windshield wiper the foot out with laces close to the mat, not near as much stress on the knee because you're not locking the hip out. Now, can you hurt the leg or the knee or somewhere around in that area? Either way, absolutely. But my knees bend way different than Yanni's knees, and DeSanto's knees bend way different than somebody else's knees. So to say that, for anybody to say that RBY was trying to injure him, go play in traffic. Like there's nothing to evident. There's no evidence or history.
He was ready to wrestle. Listen,
but the rule book does say that you cannot attack the toe, whether I'm trying to get a leg right out or whether I'm trying to get a leg out from a neutral defensive position. I am not supposed to attack the toe. Now,
the rule book says a lot, right? So that's asking.
I
that's
don't
always
know.
Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah. So
for me, RBY was just wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think there was any ill will there.
Regardless, and here's the thing. It happened. DeSanto ran out injury time. They defaulted 6 points. Hats off to him, and let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that. I hate that for both sides. Again, I'm
now
not.
People are trying to say about the rankings and all that. Let's not ranking stuff. That'll all work itself out, guys.
I think so.
I mean, they got Big Ten still, right?
Yeah, we kind of got another tournament coming up here pretty soon. Which I'm not going to Big Tens this year. I'm going to Big 12s. I gotta flip the script.
You're going to the honor, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to try out Tulsa this year.
On that painter train full time, aren't you? That's good.
Yeah.
Loyalty's hard to find. That's good of you.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. 41. So not 6-3, right? Or not 6-5, and going into 41, 6-4.
Yeah.
Okay, 41. I mean, Mirren's hurt. Hurt, but he did more gymnastics than I ever seen. On the bench jumping around.
He was hype. I was actually noticing.
Yeah, but are you hurt or you're not hurt? You want? Wrestle. I don't know if he's hurt. He's hurt, I guess, because he wasn't wrestling. But damn, if I'm hurt, I'm not jumping around that much. I'm saying, God, you're there. You want to be supportive. Hats off to him on that. But damn.
Got sucked into the Carver energy.
Nick Lee smash fest. It was,
and you knew from the jump he was going for the kill. Like he's looking for cradles on cuts.
Just putting the raccoon bait out there, just baiting him like freaking lion bait, right? Just trying to strap that cradle, and he got it locked up once hard. And hats off to Happel for
weather in the storm.
That was probably the point in the match where Happel did put up a fight. It was arguable. And again, it's drained. It's a lot of emotions, wrestling, stuff like that. It's emotionally, people are like, oh, he's gassed. Until you wrestle in there and you're in that environment, there's a lot of guys that step on the mat that were just emotionally gassed before it even started.
Let me ask you this.
But he fought out of that cradle. Nick Lee ends up with a tech in the third period. 11-4 going into 49, right?
Right. Well,
then if I had one knock on Kale or his staff, right, the next two matches is where I'll have it, and 25 maybe.
Let me ask you this.
What?
So I've talked to Schwab about. I've personally never been to a duel in Carver Hawkeye. Got to check that off my bucket list. Now that I know some VIPs like you, I've asked Schwab before. I was like, is it really that big of a deal? Like people call about getting Carvered and this, that, and the other. He said, look, He was like, if I had any advice for anybody, and this was a while back, he's like, if I had any advice for anybody competing in Carver Hawkeye, he was like, the biggest mistake I see some of those athletes make, and they want to be a part of the duel.
Yep.
He was like, but I would not be out there. If I had a match coming up, I would be back a little bit closer in the tunnel, away from it. He was like, it is the most draining thing to stand out there as an athlete and be in that environment.
You get caught up in the atmosphere.
He was like, it just zaps you. And then
next thing you know,
you're up. He was like, next thing you know, you're up and you're just drained. And then you got to go rest.
Thing, right? Comes back to one thing. And it's a lot of people say rhetoric, and comes back to another cliche word, comes back to routine. What's your routine?
Yep.
No matter it's 50 people, it's you and the other guy, that comes in play, routine. But so going back to what I was going to say about my one knock, some people say is knock, whatever. Verclaren and Pfeiffer and McIntyre at 25 is they were obviously told and coached. They basically conceded the matches before. They didn't try to win. They got to positions and if they could hold and squeeze, or they turn down or get in situations to try to win. Like Verclaren, like he's a pretty good scrambler. It's not a lot of offense, right?
Right.
And he's pretty good at freaking upper body. A couple times Lugo got there. I'm like, geez, you're gonna get your head ripped off in a headlock.
And here's the deal, though. It's not like
they didn't try to win. Fred. Well, I don't care what you say right now. They did not. They tried to keep it close to a decision, and they were happy. That was a win for them. Verclaren came off the mat. I watched it on TV, and he's off the mat. Pfeiffer's wrestling, and Chenzo goes off to wrestle, and he's sitting on the bench with a big freaking smile on his face. Like what?
Well, I'll say this, and again, I wanted to touch on the fact, we talked about kids adjusting and getting off to college, man. It's not like Cardle Happel was a scrub. He was a 4-time state champ. You know what I'm saying? So there's levels to that progression, but moving on to Verclaren, Pat Lugo, if you told me Verclaren beat Lugo 6-5, my brain wouldn't explode. Right. And I get it. He won a world title a while back. He's not made those.
He won a what?
Jumps. He won a world title.
What did he win?
He won a world title.
Okay. So
he
should be thinking he could be in every match, right?
100%. And I'm not saying that Cale and Casey and those guys ran a practice or ran individuals with him that week on how to lose close. I don't see that happening in their room, but you're right. You can tell if a guy's trying to lose close versus go out there and try to win. I didn't see that as much with Verclaren. If I'm Verclaren, I'm going out there and I'm trying to scramble more. Now, Lugo's had an evolution since he's gotten to Iowa. He kind of plateaued at Edinburgh, and then he gets to Iowa and he makes another jump. And it's not like he just moved forward and beat people up. His dynamic ability to wrestle in a lot of different positions has gotten better. And I think his volume's gone up a lot more as well. But you're right about Verclaren, man. He wins that match 6-5 or 4-3, and my brain's not exploding out of my ears. But
there's two different dynamics I saw in that match. So, and two dynamics that ultimately are going to impact the Big Ten race, and then obviously nationals in Minneapolis is Verclaren. Okay, you don't all of a sudden then show up to the Big Tens and nationals when you've just been trying to keep it close and okay with losing, and get a pat on your back. Hey, good job. You didn't give up bonus points, whatever, because you don't know how to win, right? At that point, you don't just flip the switch in your mind and say, okay, now I'm ready to win. It doesn't happen that way. And on the flip side, Pat Lugo, we needed bonus points that match. Okay. And there and 57, Caleb Young, I think he had 4 minutes of riding time. I mean, I don't know. I looked at Spencer and I said, when's the last time that Caleb Young got a turn? Junior high, maybe? And that's not a knock, but you've got to be smart. I understand it's easy to be, Monday morning quarterback, but I'm just looking from a fact base, I guess, or speculative or what. Again, if you aren't willing to get outside your comfort zone, Pat Lugo, Caleb Young, and go get the major when you need it, then don't Iowa fans and the world don't think that when March rolls around in Minneapolis and it's first 2-3 rounds that those guys are used to getting not the major to a tech or pin or from the decision to a major. And guess what, boys? Freaking bonus points wins championships. In these kind of races, bonus points wins. And they, Pat Lugo week before was ranked number 1 in the country, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, you got the biggest stage, you're a senior. You get to your high crouch, little scramble, put them down easy, ride them out, give up an escape at the end of the period. Like you've got to know, okay, I'm a leader. It's my turn. I'm gonna put bonus points. We're gonna get this ball back on. Again, Carver had about it was like negative energy in the arena after 41. Everybody's like, holy shit, we're gonna get, they're gonna lose. No one really walked in that arena thinking that we're gonna get beat. I mean, there's some things that like I remember like Okie State in 2002 when Johnny Thompson freaking did what he did to Cliff Moore and then Roller did the same thing to Matt Anderson. That was a coin flip duel. No one thought that this was a coin flip duel. Okay, but after 41, we're not going to win.
Right there with you. I'm looking.
Be a leader. Be a leader. Get out of your comfort zone. Step up. I love Pat Lugo. I always call him, the snapping turtle from freaking Florida. Won the match. But again, this is me nitpicking as a fan, or I'm sure Tom Brand's probably saying the same thing. We got to get bonus points.
Right.
Well, he just wasn't pushing the action. He took one shot and he got to double out, and Iowa fans think that, stalling calls get you freaking pins. No, go put points on the board.
I agree 100%, man. And the argument of what determines a national title is just an argument. I mean, what determines a national team title is what we currently have, which is a traditional tournament. So like,
yeah, but what about, okay, if Path gets into this thing where he's going to score points, maybe those two scores, but you got to go score when you need to, just like the week before when you did against Sammy Sasso and you couldn't get it done.
Right.
All those things.
And if I'm looking at it on paper, Verclaren's way easier to score on than Sammy Sasso is.
And he got to freaking Sammy Sasso's like 5 more times he did Verclaren.
Right.
But he took 5 more.
And that's what I'm alluding to. I mean, like easier.
Sammy Sasso, I do not want. I mean, I'm going to get RB wide cradled there all day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, just kind of the things that we're, again, nitpicking, but go score. I see him go do it in the room all the time. He's a tough SOB. He has taken a big jump. And he's taken a huge thing of leadership on the team too. So hats off to him. I'm not, whatever, but, push, to be the number one guy, you got to go score when you need to, because guess what? Against Sammy Sasso, next week against Brayton Lee, you're dealing with some gangsters here, boy.
Have you heard a rumbling of Ironman? Yay or nay?
I mean, he's enrolled in school. I mean, he hurt his knee. I think that's public, a couple weeks ago. I think he got a scope. If I'm Tom, and I mean, this is me, and I don't know what is or isn't. If you and I have had a lot of like off non-wrestling, like life talks, right?
Sure.
And the time's always now. So if I can wrestle Ironman, I'm not, we can wrestle him next year. And this, you know what? Something may happen. Spencer Lee may never wrestle again next year. You never know. You can't count on that. Yeah. Win now. There's never been more pressure.
So you heard it here first. Ironman's in the lineup starting this week. Fellas, making the call.
I wish. Not I wish because of whatever, but sure. I mean, if you look in the background, if you watch the duel, I mean, Ironman, he's not even on the team yet. You talk about like what the Iowa effect is. He's a freaking maniac fan in the back.
Oh yeah, love it. I mean, but you want to see that as a fan.
I think he went 12-4 against Nick Lee last year, didn't he?
100%. That was something like that. It was close. Well, hey, to me, and you think Hall Kimmerer's match of the year? I mean, I think it overshadowed Chenzo Marinelli. Now the end of the match.
Let's talk about Chenzo Marinelli.
Yeah. So at the end of the match, Chenzo.
So hold on, Caleb Young beats Pfeiffer. It was what was it, like 5-1 or 4-1? He had like 7 minutes
Young
over
Pfeiffer. Yeah, 6-1 Young over Pfeiffer.
I always tell Caleb, I said, you only get 1 point for riding time, right? We're dynamic, he's engaged to Tom's daughter. They're getting married in July. So I wonder if those conversations are like, Tom and Caleb, but they all handle like professionals. I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this midstream. Actually, I'll say it now. I knew this team was good, and I say good talent-wise, unreal, right? And compared to maybe how, like, whatever, they're, you got a bunch of, I call them goody two-shoe boys, which is good, right? We're doing the right ways. I didn't know how, I'm going to use this word, I didn't know how tough they were. And the amount of adversity that this team overcame just in this one duel, saying, okay, they can overcome maybe one bad round in NCAAs. They showed me a lot of guts.
And that's kind of been the story the last couple of years. I mean, you probably know a little bit deeper than I do because you pay attention a little bit closer. It's just like seems like one bad round for Iowa at NCAAs just seems to punch them in the gut almost every year. But I mean, that's not just Iowa, but I mean, them being as close as they are in the team race at the top.
Yeah, that closeness as a team isn't, at first I'm like, oh, rhetoric. Go watch the Purdue match.
Which, by the way, random. I was just looking at some roster stuff and some history stuff last night. Dude, Jeremiah Moody, team pick and individual pick is off the dadgum charts for Iowa.
Absolutely. Hey, want to talk about it.
He seems like an absolute character.
Dude, he brings life to that program every day. You got to have like the team chemistry. It's always the second, I've heard Schwab say this. I've heard this from all the people I've been around that program. Everyone here has a role, right? Sure. Jeremiah Moody shows up every day. Vince Turk, people forgot about him, shows up every day.
Love me some Vince Turk.
Hey, maybe not happy with where they're at, but you know what? They got a job too. And, Glosser, all these guys, they're showing up every day, putting their freaking work in. And they're part of that too. So that Moody, I was glad to see him wrestle yesterday. But let's get into so we're coming out of the break. What's the score after the break? You got injury default 5. So what is it? 6-6, 10, 11-10 coming into 65.
Yeah.
Right. And you want to talk about the Bull, the leader of the program. I still think Spencer's the leader, but Bull's kind of he's kind of the rah guy.
He's the head Bull.
And the gangster of gangsters, the ice in his veins, the guy that knocked off Isaiah Martinez twice in the NCAA finals, okay? The guy that just freaking smashed Mekhi Lewis at the Bill Fair Open.
I believe the first Penn State wrestler to win it as a freshman, sophomore, back-to-back, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, Chinzo's he's just game, dude.
What I appreciate,
he was so excited to be out there. He was just had a big smile on his face in the tunnel. Like bring it on. Like this is what I live for. This is my house right now. And if it was a boxing match, these two guys, I mean, they just came out and they were just slugging it, right?
It was damn close to a boxing match. But like, man, one thing I appreciate about Chinzo is just how I don't want to say relaxed because that implies that he's not working. Smooth. Just watch that guy and just seems like almost everything is just
calm.
Smooth. Just calm and smooth.
Focused.
But it's still a fun element. There's some spring to it. There's some pop to it. And man, I don't want to say bad strategy because it got it back for him afterwards. But
bad strategy. Say
you
it.
Come out
say
and
it.
You just drive.
Say it. Listen, Tom Brady's gonna be mad at you again.
Against the
say
guy
it
again.
Say it.
Man,
he said bad strategy. Tom said in the press conference, have talk with Marinelli, but maybe we go to that in the third period, but not the first.
Yeah, I mean, just came out and was like, "Hey, dude, let's fight fire with fire." And I'm my feet are dug in the floor, and I'm pushing so hard back into my couch watching this thing that I almost flipped my whole couch over. Like I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Well, think about it though. Listen, it's also. I look at it both ways. I agree with you 100% on the match part of it, right? But listen, Marinelli, this team means enough to him that, listen, I got to – unfortunately, in his mind, maybe he thought he had to go for broke and win big and pack freaking Chinzo for the team to have a chance.
Sure.
So you got 74, 84, 97, two matches that 74, 84, Penn State's probably favored. 97 at the time, probably thought it was a coin flip. You got Cassiope. If the Bull doesn't win, he doesn't think that they probably win the duel.
Yeah, I mean, but are you?
Listen.
You're gonna go out.
He should never. Alex Marinelli, I'm gonna go on the chalk saying this. Do not ever, at this point in your life, pursue a Greco career, please.
As a friend and a fan.
I mean, they got them the situation 4 or 5 times. I mean, I don't know. Just by watching, no one said this to me. I mean, it's like he was trying to bait Chinzo to go to the inside trip and then go to the body lock, right?
Well, there was a couple times on the edge where like he had the lock low on the waist and he started sucking him in. I don't know if he felt something or he felt like he was running out of real estate, but it looked like he had him just bent over with that low lock on the low back, and then he just kind of backed off of it.
But look at how he got to that body lock before. He got to the body lock before this way. He get to a high crotch or single. Chenzo would pull him up. Okay, so Chenzo's defense was he go overhook, right?
Right.
He'd pull him into him. Well, at that point, Chenzo's freaking. He's got an overhook. You're deep as hell on underhook. It's not like when you're forcing double unders, right? And guys back in the hip pin. Chenzo's pulling in. You go to crunch there. That's a lot different. Your hips are in. That's like a transitional or a chain wrestling crunch. He's going like double unders, trying to get the double unders. Chenzo's hips are out. His hips are out. He's trying to like trip. And ultimately, when you want to talk about boom, like the air really came out. And Jim Gibbons, hats off to him because Iowa State guy, of course, but he's a great guy. But he goes, well, the guys, they just love the position. He goes, and then Chenzo goes, Marinelli actually over under. Marinelli steps outside, hooks his own foot.
Right.
He basically, all Chenzo had to do was basically take his left arm and just fall on his back and turn his hips at the same time. Marinelli loaded himself up, right? And Jim Gibbons goes, well, there you go. It's much funny what he said. And listen,
get what you get.
Listen, threw him, didn't throw him, whatever. And there's 2 points of Alex Marinelli, like a lot of things. If anybody has to say anything about it, he fought his ass off.
Well, he fights his ass off.
No, he fought.
Time.
Listen,
I mean,
he was. I mean, you got arguably the biggest, and I don't say. Let me also say, I don't say gangster in a bad gangster, meaning like that guy's a badass. When I say 100%, gangster, 100%. Like a thug, whatever. When I say, oh, that's somebody, he's gangster. I mean, he's a tough SOB gamer badass.
I thought he was buried.
You got the gangsters in my mind, right? Most under talked about guy that's just kind of he beat. I mean, arguably, we still been talking about Isaiah Martinez being a 4-timer. You have the gangsters has you on your back, right? First time he's in advantage position, and you fought off your back. I mean, he got split bad, gushed,
and then went back to it, with the upper body.
Yeah, they go back down 30 seconds to go. Marinelli looks like he's going to get rode out. About 5 seconds left. Marinelli turns into him. Chenzo's kind of doing that same ride that they all do. Hang over the top, heavy on your head, right? Hooked leg. Turns into him, ducks him.
I haven't seen that cross wrist around the throat ride. Like that's a little newer. I mean, the near wrist AJ Shop, Seth Gross ankle hook ride. This was a different version that I've seen. Like they pulled
the wrist all the way under his ankle. You take the wrist, basically.
Yeah, they went cross wrist up under the throat. Yeah, which was bizarre. Like, I mean, yeah, great ride. I don't know where you're transitioning to a turn from there.
No, he's not trying to turn from there though. That's that's a riding time. Finish the period on top, right?
Sure.
Marinelli looks into it, ducks, gets to his feet. He keeps trying to outside step. He doesn't really ever pop his hips on any of the body locks, which whatever. Hopefully,
if I got an inside trip guy, probably not trying to outside trip. Because if I have an outside trip, what do you have, fellers?
Maybe your hips loaded. I don't know.
An inside trip.
Well, yeah, or hey, like let me just put my first of all, for the bull to do an outside trip. His leg, he don't have the longest of legs, right?
Right.
So he's strained, leaning. You're leaning pretty hard, and it's all momentum. But Marinelli gets to his feet, gets to the body lock. I mean, talk about the freaking crowd eruption again. Bull gets his feet again. Looks like he's gonna take him to the back as time expires. They challenge. I'm screaming at Tom. They gave one of the mat. They're arguing about a reversal, maybe back points. They try to get reversal, and I'm saying, Tom, that was 1 and 2. He got to his feet, right? And then he got the takedown. So then you go into the third period, it's 7-3, I think. Right. 6-3, Chenzo's down, right? Versus 6-4, and Chenzo's down. He's got riding time. Marinelli rides him. Make a long story short, everybody's like, boo, whatever. Chenzo at that point, like, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
He's not trying to build – he's trying to put the W in the bank, right?
Yeah.
Marinelli gets a late takedown, gets to a 3/4 choke out. Crowd, Iowa fans go nuts. Chenzo gets up, blood. Hey, it was a warrior of warriors picture. Marinelli's got blood dripping on his face.
Right.
Chinzo's nose is freaking split open.
Yeah.
He raises his hand and then he's waving like, come on. Yeah, I love this. I love this. Right.
I was like,
and then I didn't notice this till TV. So then we got the icer of icers coming up the next match, right? Penn State's Kale and those guys are like, come on, Mark's winning and it's over. It's over.
Dude,
right?
I told you 3-4 weeks ago when Kimmerer showed up big, like that dude, man, like his reattacks, his split step outside step attacks, like, man, they get better every time he goes out.
I didn't think there's any way Kimmerer's beating Hall. And here's why. I watched Mark Hall, I think, get 5th in the Olympic trials right out of high school in Carver, okay? And you got like guys like Howe and other guys on his legs, right?
Right.
And his reattack offense is
just such a different feel.
I mean, unreal. And it's a first time feel, right?
Yeah.
But going back, one thing I want to say is like, if you go back and watch the replay, they got the Big Ten had the camera on Hall. He has ear pods in, getting ready after Chinzo hit it. He's laughing. He, smiling like, oh, like that guy just got, he just got stoned in his own, Marinelli just got partied on. He's high-fiving his guys. He's smiling like, oh, I got this. It's all on me. And, man, 40 seconds into it, Fretwell, I said, shit, it's game over, boys. He got double on. He got to a duck. He was so calm. Got into double unders, stood up, has headway high. And if it was Greco, it would have been a 10.
Oh my God! I mean, like the double arm headlock, like
too hard.
Oh my God! Like the double armed headlock. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude.
Oh,
like,
can you imagine the celebration he would have had if he would have pinned Cameron?
Oh my God! I mean, I would have been upset as a
16,000 to 8,000 in about 40 seconds in the crowd.
Oh yeah, I'd have been upset.
So he goes up, he bombs him, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's over. I didn't say that in my head. I'm like, oh, F, right? What the? I mean, everything that could go wrong has go wrong. And Cameron just got his buckle down to the mat, rolled through it. When he came off, I'm like, you were blacked out. He goes, yeah, a little bit. Came wrestling, doesn't get the freaking takedown. Cameron keeps wrestling, gets to the leg, and gets the takedown. It was unreal. I mean, it was, talk about a turn of events all in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I
brought it from home. You're up, you're partying, you had your phone up, you're ready to start your Iowa tweet hating. Like, come on, dude. Let's just be honest. If I had a camera on you at home when you're watching it, when Marky did that, what'd you do? And you're like, yeah, I told you about it.
No, there would have been a lot of bleeps because I was screaming and yelling. But I mean, like, the beautiful part for me is like, I didn't dislike or like Penn State or Iowa one more than the other. I just, as a fan, like, no joke, this isn't me being neutral. Like, the only team I'm diehard biased on is UNI. But like, I literally just
spell that again.
Huh?
How do you spell that?
UNI.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I mean, I just wanted the craziest duel I could possibly watch, and it dang sure came close to it and delivered. God. But like, dude, I'm telling you, like, for Kimmerer not only to come back and chip away after that, but to continue to wrestle in positions that Mark Hall usually beats everybody in the planet. Like you said, not just college wrestlers, but senior level guys.
Junior world champ.
It kind of makes you scratch your head in a sense of, and again, not trying to play devil's advocate, but I got to ask the question is like, Mark Hall, is he the same dynamic person that he used to be? These guys are just catching up with him. But because I saw a pretty simple situation in that exchange where Kimmerer gets a reversal and Mark Hall kind of just turns to a quad pod and really doesn't even fight it. Normally in that position, Mark Hall re-switches like he does in a parterre quad pod position. And that's where he crushes everybody, right? Kind of that Euro style. Like,
you mean at the end of was it the end of the first period? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like
Kimmerer got reversed where Mark was trying to rip his shoulder out. Right. It's dangerous. He's riding him out. And
then they come back to it. And there's
into him. Mark was hanging over top, kind of like Chinzo.
Yeah.
Hook, and just kind of hanging. And Kimmerer hipped into him, got a reversal, and they got a bounce. And
that normal
say whatever they want about Kale. I don't know the words that came out of his mouth. He jumped out of his damn chair so quick, right in Mark's face with his finger. Like,
right.
and they go back to the middle. It's 7-6 after the first period.
Yeah. Insane.
No, 7. Let me tell you that again. Number 1 against number 2. 7. No, it's number 1 versus number 3. 7-6 after the first period. I'd never to guess that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say I would never would have guessed it. I mean, like I said, prime time Mark Hall, like, dude, sparks are flying. He's kitchen sinking everything, every position. And I guess that's where, and I'm not hating on Mark Hall. I'm just trying to get inside of this match and break it down. But like, there were a couple positions in there where he stopped the wrestling. And at the end of the match, I get it. He kind of bellied down and whatever.
He quit.
Like,
he didn't listen to me. He quit.
Okay.
Chris out on the mat. Like, what else would you say he did then?
No, I mean, he was, match was over. No,
it wasn't over. He had 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 23. I don't know if it was 30, but either way.
You guys, if you go to the compound night, you're gonna say, listen, if you guys are losing by 2 or 3 within 23 seconds, just put your head on the mat. Would you happy with your athletes like that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Right? And I'm not throwing shade at him, but what I'm saying is early in the match, there were positions that Mark Hall never slows down, stops wrestling, stops scrambling, and that he did.
I think Cameron scared. I think Cameron surprised him with how strong he was. Okay. I think Cameron, I mean, really the match came down to when Mark got to their feet. Okay. Mark got a takedown. Cameron's outside step, high crotch in the second period which was freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
And if anybody goes back and watches that, like, he's not going to a crackdown. Mark tries to cut the corner. He gets so many guys try to get their shoulder across so quick, right? He continues to cut the corner, get the weight off of him, shoelaces down, gets his arm across. That's a position there that Mark makes freaking hay most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, kept his shoulder in the pocket. I mean, like
I
you
mean,
said,
but he's so good there. Watch whether he jumps across,
right?
But he's always sliding his knee, his outside step, his head and hips. He continues to slide in always. He's great in that position. Probably as good. Right now, if you gave Cameron a leg right now, right, starting a high crotch and had to finish, he's probably as good as any is out there right now.
And he didn't even really get a chance to showcase his re-attacks near as much as he has.
Mark would have to attack, then that would be,
Yeah, I mean,
so then you go to third period, right? And it's like, okay, it's a 2-point match, right? 2-point match. Mark hits that. They come back to the middle. Mark hits that freaking, he clubs him with the left hand, comes to a ankle pick with his right hand. Okay. Right. And I'm like, oh, damn. And Cameron, it looks like he's going to get taken down. Cameron kicks away, and then he faced him. And, oh, my gosh.
Right back into it. That was crazy.
That was the match.
What an amazing match. What an amazing match, dude.
You think that was the match or not? I mean, Cameron's back to the middle. Mark's strained, right? They get back to the middle. And the last takedown was kind of weird to me. It's like Mark tried to lower his level. Cameron lowers level at the same time. And Cameron just, I mean, it wasn't like some thing of, like, he just bull rushed him.
Yeah. I mean, he stayed low. He stayed low and just.
You want to talk about how loud Carter was then?
Yeah.
I was there when Ramos beat J.O. What else would be? I was there when DeSanto beat Soriano. Wasn't full, which is loud though. That place roared for freaking
I bet.
2 minutes during the match, after match.
I'm getting to a duel at Carver next year.
Hey,
you got to stay.
Oklahoma State, Iowa would be a good one to come to. Even though Oklahoma State's not, the rivalry between those two that's real too.
Oh, 100%.
Let me say this. Every time I'm in the room, here's what I said. Think about this. You got Spencer Lee, okay? Media, Spencer Lee. You got Marinelli, okay? Kind of maybe second. Who in the media has been talking about Cameron? I mean, as far as attention and a kid that just keeps his head down. He's already graduated right into his junior year, going to grad school now. Like, as far as outside this meet, he's kind of just spinning under the radar, right?
And you would think somebody would pick that story up. I mean, the dude got hurt, then he misses a whole season. And I think some people.
Cody Goodwin had a good article about the. Did you get a chance to read that?
No, I did not.
You would love it. Actually, I'll give you. I'll give you a cliff notes. Yeah, see, you're kind of millennial. Read it. It's good for your brain. Makes you think, not just absorb.
I like audiobooks.
Hey, what was that? What was that word? What was the term with Roper's interview you're going to do with your life? Declutter, simplify,
declutter.
Reading
I'm
is
trying
good.
to get balance. I'm trying to
So
get
let me
balance.
give you a quick thing. So Kimmer comes on his visit, okay? And the guys like to party then, whatever. I mean, every team does at some point. And Kimmer left his visit, went back to PA, and guess he didn't like what he saw about, like, you know, guys' priorities, and didn't think he was going to fit for nightlife. Okay, whatever. Tom Brands gets wind of that, right?
Oh, I did read that, and then drives
Brands
like
gets in his
800
truck.
million miles or whatever.
Tom gets
I
in his
did.
truck. This is so Tom Brands, and drives 700 miles one way.
Yeah, I did read that. You're
Sat
right.
there with
Made
him
me
and
touch
drove
it.
back. He was home for practice the next day,
Right.
all in 24 hours, because, you know, the kid is he's just a good all around. You know, actually, Cameron and Lugo are really close, and they follow the stock market. So I'll be on. I'm like, you guys see Beyond Meats? And, you know, Lugo's like, oh, I'm a penny trader. They're just good. But what I was saying is that Cameron would be a freaking. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a star, right? But I mean, you want to talk about wrestling gangsters? He's got beat by Nolf and freaking Tyler Berger. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and then, but hold on, one more thing, and then I know there's something I'm going to say. If anybody had any wonder or thoughts around Alex Marinelli. Marinelli just got beat for the first time against Shinzo. Kimmer comes off the mat after that win, and who's the first guy to be there to freaking hug him and give him a high five? Marinelli. I mean, that's being a gangster. That's being a man facing it. I mean, 100%. Good teammate. It was awesome.
So
it just shows you a lot of the guys, and, you know, people in adversity like that, how they react.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, man, you at the end of the day, when the dust settles, like, what kind of brotherhood culture, whatever cliche or buzzword you want to use to define it, like, what is the end result? What are these boys getting out of this entire thing? Not just wins and records and medals and stuff like that. And, like, as a coach, man, like, and you've coached forever. By the way, Travis Keel sent me a text while we were sitting here talking. He was like, Fellers is the man. Like, he used to run some practices out here. Like,
let's live in Kansas City, Shawnee Mission, dude.
Dude, I love me some Keel. But to go back to it, man, like, at the end of the day, that's, I mean, in my opinion, as a coach, like, that's the end result. I mean, great if I got good wrestlers, man, but if they experience something a little bit bigger than themselves, like, that's the goal in my world. But I mean,
not your world. Hey, listen, that's not just your world. That's I think whether you're top ranked country, and I don't want to get in this coaching tangent because we can talk 2 hours about this, but I mean, your job as a coach is you judge them with the time. Like, you know, Gabe used to always say, you know, how do you rank your athletes? Well, I rank them the 5 years that they're here wrestling, right? And then what they do the next 50 years of their life.
100%.
Right.
I'm with that. I mean, getting those contacts from kids 4 or 5 years out of college and what they're doing and families and careers. And, man, I appreciate those. I mean, and at the time, yeah, winning the state title and running off the mat and seeing that, man, brings a tear to my eye. But, like, 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the road, man, getting to see these guys progress, totally different type of feeling, totally different type of fulfillment. But, you know, 184 might be the biggest disaster of a weight class in a good way after, you know, Brooks over Assad, and then Assad loses to Caffey.
And that was a good match. I mean, he got some legs a lot in that match too, but
yeah, but
Assad was freaking emotionally drained. I mean, you want to talk about emotional drain? He had no energy from Jump Street.
I kind of figured that Brooks was gonna. I get a vibe about Brooks like I get about RBY. Just a little extra swagger in their hip pocket when they go out there.
World champs. He's a world champ.
Both amazing, and I'm not blanketing them with just athletic ability, but both of them just move different. Both of them just react a little bit different. And
Brooks was wrestling Jaden Cox for how long at the training center last year?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be an alien to beat an alien, right? Yeah, but I didn't think 7-3. I wasn't expecting 7-3.
No, well,
it'd be a little close.
The headlock was close to get go, right? 2-0 gets rode out, gives up 2 minutes of riding time, and then third period, instead of cutting him, right? Freaking Brooks turns back in. Russ being smart, Russ turns back into him, gets a reversal.
How is that not a headlock from the beginning of the match? How's that not a takedown? I mean,
Oh, it is a takedown.
Hips broke. They review it. Then they don't
his
get
hip turned down. Well, listen, that was a couple guys from Pennsylvania reffing. I mean, I didn't really want to get into that.
It was so funny. I was up at UNI, doing the Oklahoma State UNI duel, and I'm going in. Everybody's warming up, getting ready. It's like early in the afternoon. Like the duel was at 8. Everybody's warming up around 3:34, and I walk in. Coach Smith is in this hallway of West Gym, and it's got all these long hallway of all these national champs and this, that, and the other. And he's just staring at this photo. And I walk up. I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing?" Shake his hand or whatever. And he just keeps staring at this guy. And it's his former national champ. I think it was like 74, 76. And I was like, man, I guess they've had some tough guys come through here and win national titles, right? And he was still looking at this photo and he doesn't say anything. And he's like, "This some bitch cost me 2 national titles." And I was like, "That guy?" And he was like, "Yeah." He started reffing after he got done wrestling. He's terrible ref. Cost me 2 national titles. Then turns around and walks off. I was dying laughing.
He competitive, man.
Oh, my God. Never forgot, dude. That probably happened 20-some years ago. That guy never forgot this guy. I think it was Pullman might have been the guy's last name.
Keith Pullman. Yeah.
It's hilarious, man. He's just staring at this photo.
He still despises him.
So funny, dude. But
so Aaron Brooks, Aaron Brooks does what, after he got beat by Venz is, all the common factor of comparison to 84 has all been around Venz, right?
Yeah.
Venz got beat Brooks. Assad beats Venz. Venz lost again yesterday to, what's his name? Rocky Jordan.
Right.
Venz got beat by the guy from Michigan State. So the common theme's all been Venz is the center of why it's chaos, right?
Kind of. He's more of a gatekeeper at this point, though, right?
And then they're all going to fight for second and third.
Yeah, but that's the thing, man. Like after this weekend, I'm like, obviously I want Lujan to win it all, but like
I forgot about Lujan.
If Caffey ended up in the finals in March, like I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he doesn't get a ton of fanfare. He gets a little bit of fanfare just because of the way he wrestles. He's wide open, just his foot on the gas. But like, let's face it, Michigan State isn't exactly a powerhouse in the Big Ten, so he doesn't get near as much shine as a lot of these other guys do because he's not in these big time duels. But this dude is
going to Michigan State and wrestle. People would say whatever they want. Like that's what you get.
Yeah, but he is just slowly clipping off.
Good, man. He is super athletic.
These top 10 guys.
Though, like I don't know if you've seen the match with him Assad yesterday or him and Benz. To reel off 4 or 5 of those in that environment, you're playing. It's kind of like that kid from Kent State, Connell.
Yeah.
Either you're rolling or you're not rolling, right?
Yeah. Somebody forgot to tell him, man. And maybe he takes this role all the way through March.
What about Connell? He's not on the roster anymore. What's the deal?
I just think that was hey, let's give it a shot, and if it don't work, it don't work.
So listen, you're gonna have Connell, Shaq, both projected to be in the lineup at 84, 97, and I'm calling it right now, both on the bench, and Beard wrestle 97.
Oh, you hit it here first from
Shaq. Caleb ain't playing like listen. He does not play around. He does not play this emotional thing. If Beard can beat Shaq right now, you watch Warner and Shaq at 97, right? That's really the duel comes down to that.
Yeah.
In essence, it was like a completely different person.
Yeah, me and
his body might not be there, right, with his knee. Okay.
Yeah,
but his heart's not into it either.
Yeah, and here's the deal, man. Like, it's tough enough, and I can't speak from experience, but I've talked to enough people. It's tough enough to just wrestle 4 or 5 years at Division I level. You start tacking on a 6th year. You're starting to tack on multiple injuries and surgeries coming back from it, man. Like at some point, it's like, dude, like there's got to be an end to this. Like I can't come back for a 27th year. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter how we can get it approved, like, we're seeing it with Seth Gross, even though, he had surgery, like he's not the same guy on top. Me and you have talked about this, whether it's back injury or whether it's training for freestyle or whatever. Like some of these guys that like have made their living from the top position aren't making their living from the top position anymore. And the playing field starts to be evened a little bit. So like Shakur Rashid made a living off being an absolute savage on top. guys are getting away pretty easily on this guy. I don't know. Like you said, it's a confidence thing. It's an injury thing. It's whatever. But
the sport's so good, man. I mean,
again, and that's a question.
Like, so you can't be one dimensional, right?
Right. Or is the world catching up with Rashid, or is Rashid
the world just
slowing down?
Catching up every day? Like, this is the most exciting. I mean, this is the evolution of going on in the sport right now, right? The amount of footage and video out there. Okay, here's how he's set up the cradle. Okay, here's how we're going to defend it. I mean, and you've drilled with your partners in the morning and your individuals for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, guys that you're getting ready for, just knowing, being aware. So it's not like all of a sudden you've never seen tape on this guy. All of a sudden, oh crap, I've never felt this before, and you're strapped up in a cradle and Shaq's got you on your back.
Yeah, but the difference between but the difference between what you're talking about and what I'm talking about is, like, it'd be different if Rashid was riding guys and just not putting them in a cradle or not turning them. It'd be different if Seth Gross was riding guys and the top tier guys.
Up though, man. Come on.
These guys are giving up escapes like early in the period. And I'm not throwing shade on either one of them. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you can scout guys their best stuff on top, but like, these guys aren't even getting good solid rides in on some.
How many people are getting away from Spencer Lee right now?
I
just was checking.
You know it's freaking coming, and you don't stop it. So that's why I'm trying to figure out.
100%. You're 100% right.
Regressing on top, right? Or is the guys progressing on bottom, or is it a combination of both? And they're getting passed. Like,
I watched actually Seth Gross and Corey Clark yesterday for some odd reason, but Seth he's to the tilt now. He used to leg a lot more. I call it just chain transition wrestling, right? And when you start getting I'm not saying one dimensional, but a lot of those things opened up because of other reasons in the wrestling.
Sure.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. I agree.
And you know, a lot of guys are not going to go underneath them. They're not going to. A lot of guys that do go underneath them, they're not going to wrestle like they would maybe to get out of the bottom, right? But the bottom line for me is like coming back for a sixth year, and I said this beginning of the year, you're going to have Connell, Rashid, and Kassar, which is really why Penn State was even in the conversation for the team race from the get-go, right?
Right.
6 year of D1, you better love it. They're all coming back off injuries. You better have a passion. Kids going from high school to college, you know, I've seen it. I lived it. I'd be one of these guys to say what I'm going to tell you in a second. If you don't love wrestling, I love it. Not like, oh God, I got practice. I mean, like, you're going to the water park, love it every day, right? Like, oh shit, we're going to Seven Flags. Let's go. I'm excited. Whatever. Like, I was a kid.
Seven Flags?
Well, if you're not going into practice with that same feeling, or Six Flags, Eight Flags, whatever the hell it's called.
Six Flags.
My point's this.
I didn't know if Iowa was trying to get a leg up on Georgia.
Same feeling you go to the amusement park as you're going to practice because you love it. It's going to be tough, man.
Well, I will say this, though. I will say this. I can love the process of wrestling and getting better and training. But if my body's not cooperating, my love for doing what I'm built to do starts to deteriorate, not because internally I don't want to do it. It's because physically I'm being limited. And I think that's the point I'm starting to get to, is these guys, they didn't get to that point because they hated it, right? Then their bodies start not cooperating with them, and it starts to chip away with your soul. Just like if you're cutting a ton of weight, we see it a lot of times with guys.
Maybe not the same extreme. Everybody wrestling D1 is hurt.
100%. Like I said, man, a
or Clark won with one arm. I just use one example.
Brutal. But, yeah, 100%.
You know, and you're part of a winning team, man. That's fun, right?
Yeah, it's fun to win.
There's not near as much pressure on yourself when you have five other hammers, you know, Zane, et cetera, Bo, all those guys. Sure. I just don't see the fire in Shaq that he really wants to do it. That's all. Yeah. And Warner, I mean, he didn't even threaten Warner from his feet. That's probably the most boring 5-2 match I've ever seen.
Was it 5-2 or 4-2? I don't think it matters.
Well, I'll tell you what, Warner he set the tone, and I was worried he's going to zap himself, you know, get tired. And maybe he did a little bit, but he's fine. I mean, how many times did he mat return him? 50?
That's solid mat returns.
I mean, Izzy always said 5 mat returns, and you beat the guy. I mean, he had 5. I mean, he had 12. So I'm going to call Izzy and tell me his 5's wrong. Yeah.
Hey, man, Matt Valeni, I say it all the time. Matt Valeni freaking won a national title being
100%.
savage with a mat return, dude.
How much does it matter to you? Or how much more are you willing to strain the other guy? And, so Warner wins. So what was the final? It was 17-16 going into heavyweight, right?
Somewhere around in there. Yep. Because it ended up it wasn't 17-16. The dual final was 19-17.
Okay, so Iowa got 3 the last match. So 3.
So 16,
hold on, I know you're from Georgia, so 16 plus 3 is 9.
Public school too.
And
double whammy.
And Penn State, so 19-17. So 17-16 going to the heavyweight, comes down to heavyweight.
And you think Cassiope has the upper hand, and then Neville's with a sick Russian spin out of the single leg, and then like Cassiope, I don't know how he manages to continue to scramble. Like that opening sequence was dumb. I watched it like 10 times. I have no clue how Neville's did not get that far leg reach and cover. Like Cassiope.
What about Cassiope going into the splits?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Cassiope turns going into the splits like, dude, like that's everything textbook that you want out of a transitional scrambling wrestling position. And these guys collectively weigh almost 600 pounds. That's friggin' ridiculous.
And I mean, this is again me just watching and evaluating as a fan, just down there looking at it. When that scramble was over, the match was over.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. I think if Neville's gets on top, he maybe keeps it a little bit closer and then pops another scramble later on. But I mean, Cassiope just a little too solid for Neville's and all other positions.
Powerful, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, what's the date on Minnesota? And I hope we don't get cheated. February 15th.
What do you mean cheated?
I mean, one of those guys not being in the lineup because they wrestle Minnesota February 15th. So we get to see Cassiope Gable is what I'm alluding to.
Tony's Pizza. That's what I call him.
Tony's Pizza.
We'll give him a sponsorship when he's done with Tony's Pizza.
Amazing.
Tony's Pizza. Hey, the whole arena. Tony.
So that's the biggest duel of the season. Here and gone, right?
This isn't me just being a homer saying this, okay? I know Tom Ryan and the greatest wrestling facility in the world, and I mean the facility arena seats like 4,000 people. If it's not at Iowa or Penn State, okay, with their fan bases, it's going to be hard to be the biggest duel of the year. I'm not saying it's not the best duel of wrestling, okay?
Right.
Like, I would say that UNC smashing freaking Virginia Tech, that's way over, under talked about.
Right.
Okay. What about freaking Isaiah White strapping the freaking cradle on yesterday to win the duel for Nebraska?
That was freaking sick.
So if you just put wrestling,
that is freaking
which is,
sick.
I mean, that's probably a good way to evaluate, quality of the duel, all the, but the environment, I mean, you just can't replicate that environment. You just can't.
And I was talking to Brian Snyder a couple weeks ago, after they were coming off a tough loss to Wisconsin. And he's like, man, I just feel like our guys are a little overworked. And I was like, well, is there any rest in sight? And then he rattles off their next 3 duels. And I'm just like, oh dear God, you couldn't have picked the 3 worst duels. Yeah. You couldn't have picked the 3 worst duels that you want your guys to have at least one kind of easy Big Ten duel. But I mean, that's the world we're living in Big Ten wrestling, man. There's, even back in the day, where there was a couple throwbacks, now Rutgers is in and you're like, oh, that's an easy duel. No, it's not. It's not an easy duel, and I'm not going to throw shade on any of the bottom programs in the Big Ten, but and then Nebraska comes away with a crazy duel win yesterday. On paper, you watch that Nebraska team against Wisconsin and you're like, they got these 3 guys next. There's no way they're beating Ohio State, and then again, you just marvel at what some of these kids can do and what some of these coaching staffs can do in a short amount of time. I mean, because you can't go fix a lot of stuff in 2 weeks, and you're not even getting 2 weeks. You're traveling. Kids are still cutting weight. You got a lot of stuff going on to where you got a very limited amount of time to fix this stuff in between. I think
that's the art of the coaching, though, right? If
100%,
I think if you try to scrap everything and change the world, right? I think there's a time to try to tweak people's wrestling, but wrestling's wrestling. I think you have to how you respond to your athletes coming off these dual meets, wins or losses, not too high, not too low. There's about a 2-week window you get individuals for your individual time, getting ready for Big Tens and Nationals, where you're getting all that one-on-one, you're getting all the tweaking, all that stuff. Right now, if I'm Nebraska, here's what I'm telling my team. You guys just went through as tough a stretch as you're going to go as the national tournament. Okay.
Yep.
You're ready, and you're building your team, and you're building, and you're building, and you're building. They've done a good job over there. I mean, you're talking about Nebraska. Like, look at Purdue. I mean, I know they got blanked by the Hawks, and but Tony Erzin's brought that program a long ways. Northwestern. I mean, all across Big Ten. But when's the last time Penn State and Ohio State have had 2 dual losses in the same year? Think about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
It hurts my feelings a lot.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I said, man, I still marvel at what these athletes are able to do and how they're able to rebound week to week. I mean, you even got, you got some of these guys that are pulling a good chunk of weight,
Big Ten,
and then trying to get it in. But like, I think the biggest key, and this was kind of what we were talking about, is like, and Penn State's always gotten the credit of, oh, well, everything's fun and we only have hour-long practices. And like, I get that, but and you can only abbreviate your training so much. Like, I get it that you got to have the courage to rest. And like, that's kind of what me and Snyder were talking about. Is like, man, how much do I let my guys rest, and how much do we grind? And that's always kind of been that our mentality, is like, man, I don't care if your neck's broke, you're going to put a neck brace on and you're going to keep going. But like, at some point, man, your body just falls apart. But like, you also don't want to rest too much, and then all of a sudden people start catching you. So like, that's science of coaching, like, and it evolves, right? It changes from season to season, from recruiting class to recruiting class. And
athlete
to athlete, man. Like, there's so many variables and factors in there that, like, if you're not in tune and you're only focused on recruiting, or you're only focused on training, man, you could be asleep at the wheel, and it could be a bus crash real quick, with a group of these guys. But man, what an insane. I mean, we could sit here and talk about.
Here's what I think, though. Like, it used to be Friday to Sunday, okay? So you go wrestle you go Penn State to Minnesota at the time, or Michigan to Ohio State. Friday, Sunday. Like, that Saturday is all just you getting your weight back down, right? Yeah. You're ready to compete mentally. And this isn't a knock on anybody else. This is just facts. Like, any kid going through the Big Ten, okay, that endures that schedule and still is able to perform at the 5th year or at the national tournament, they embody the word tough.
Ain't no argument.
A survivor. I mean, that's what I'd say, is like, not just physically, emotionally, right? And I think you're 100% right. And I say this all the time. The coaches that are making the biggest impact, I think, in all sports, right, are able to find the individuality. I would say it's not a spaghetti factory, right? You go to the spaghetti factory, all the noodles came through all the same.
Right.
How are you able to, each athlete's different. You got to be confident enough and make enough confidence in your athlete that, you know what, you need to, as important as we need to push, a day off might do you more, right? And be confident and let your athlete know that, like, this is the best thing for you. You should feel good about it. Not like, oh, you're losing a day of training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's where the sport, and I'm not saying it just started happening in the last couple of years, but that's where the sport has evolved, right? And, and you still have some old school mentality guys out there. You still have some old school mentality guys out there that just want to hammer down and let the dust fall, or let the dust settle where it settles. And like, that's just not the world we're living in anymore. And long term, and I mean, you got a club up there, I got a club down here, and these kids are wrestling so much more and getting so much more specialized training. I was talking to my oldest son last night, like, there is a whole movement now. And if you ask me about it, I would be like, absolutely not. But I'm in the same market. There are guys now, parents, that are paying to get professional gaming coaches for their children, because the gaming, hey, let's face facts here. I pour every dime I got in dragging my kid around the country, getting him the best coaching, strength and conditioning, wrestling. It's going to be a 0.00000% that he ever makes a living as an athlete wrestling. I got my kid, I get him the best gaming coaching Like that dude could be making 150 grand a year out of high school, in high school game. So but if you would have asked me 5 years ago, like my youngest son, Cameron, he's in college now, but if he would have come to me and said, hey dad, I really want to pursue this gaming thing. And I'm an open-minded guy. Like I'm a pretty easygoing, open-minded guy. If he would have come to me 5-6 years ago and be like, hey dad, I want to get a professional coach for gaming. I kind of want to have a gaming career. I would have had to sit down and legit think about it. And
you'd have lost it on him. Like, you lazy ass. What do you mean?
I wouldn't have
accomplish anything.
Lost it on him, but I would have had to think about it. I would have had to think about it and be like, is this the same realm? Actually, it's not the same realm. It actually has more potential than wrestling. Now, is wrestling teaching him more skills and intangibles and all that stuff than sitting in front of a video game? Absolutely.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know, because you know what? I'll challenge you on that. I don't know, because you know what? I've never done that. I don't understand to get to that level. I don't know, like, what it takes.
Well, I do, because I know that physically being able to get up out of bed when I'm sick and don't feel good to go make money to feed my kids is a little bit different. Me having to do that in the wrestling world than me getting up and sitting in a chair and clicking a mouse button. So I know that for a fact.
So it's not worth it anymore. I mean, we should do a podcast about this, because I love to dig into that. So is that, are you saying it's harder because that's what you've done? But if you went the other way and overcome millions and millions of people, crazy thing here is my second oldest, Evan, he, this Fortnite phenomenon came on, like, I don't know, a couple years ago. They got an Xbox, whatever, and play it. And and all of a sudden, I think they had like the Xbox Cup or whatever for Fortnite. He got like 312th out of, I don't know, however many million were there. All of a sudden, a monster box comes to the house Friday. I'm like, what the hell is this? Open up. Oh, it's, well, he got Twitch or something. He records and whatever else. Monsters, he's going to sponsor my kid, 10-year-old. Gaming. See?
There you go.
Unreal. I didn't even know about
it. Don't let him wrestle. Hire him a gaming coach. Take him off the mat. That's time he's not gaming. You know what I'm saying?
No, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to support my kids, and you be the same way.
100%.
Whatever they want to do, but I want 100% of what they're going to do.
I'm with you on that, but I'm about the diverse aspect as well. I don't want to get too deep into this, because even maybe later this week we jump back on this topic.
Oh, yeah, but I'll have to get a subpoena to get you and knocked down, because y'all know you'd be hustling.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you do, right? On the hustle.
I do, man. My wife's a slave driver, man.
So okay, let's recap it real quick. Kale said that they can compete. Tom said it was a heavyweight match. The Santo factor is going to come in. Is Mirren back in or not? Those two questions for Iowa. At the end of the day, everything. Does much change in the team race for you come March?
For me, man, I thought Penn State was a little bit further behind than I thought. And as well as I do, man, dual teams don't mean tournament teams. And I feel like coming off of this duel, man, Penn State's right there. I mean, as much as I thought it was going to be a runaway for Iowa, man, I don't know. But
you got two matches. They scored 11 of their 17 points in two matches.
Yeah, but that's what
one
I'm
against
saying.
Inter default, one. So, okay, so what's changed? 25. I can tell you 25.
Bonus potential is what changes.
25, 49, 57, 97 right now for Penn State, which is 5, and maybe heavyweight. So 6 of the 10. You're what? Maybe score. I mean, you maybe have one All-American out of that.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. So you still have your guns, right?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, and I'm gonna say this, not being a homer, like when I was trying to chase Penn State 5-6 years ago, they had the Gilman and Mike Evans, those guys. They went to 2 years. They went to nationals with 8 guys, and 3 guys when you come out with 5 All-Americans. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, I'll say this though, as much as
don't give me the whole Penn State will be ready stuff either, please.
I'm all about a tight team race. I love it.
It's the best thing for the sport. Are you kidding me?
As much as me looking at NCAAs on paper a month ago and being like, they're not even a month ago. And I text you about this, like Iowa, it was just like, if I could design some massive Mad Max looking farm truck of just chewing up corn and livestock and people and buildings. Like that's what Iowa looked to me like, this massive machine that was just eating everything up. It's still that machine, but man, like Penn State has the bonus potential to stay in this race. And you know as well as I do, ain't nothing playing out at the NCAA tournament like we ride it up. Never, ever.
Oh,
ever.
Joe Smith and Alex Marinelli first round? No, it ain't.
Never going to play out the way anybody thinks it's going to draw up. And I'm not talking about seeds.
So it's great
I'm
for the
just talking
sport. Like this conversation and even discussing it. This is what drives the sport.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of good stuff to talk about.
I appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, brother. We got to run this back on the train and stuff, whether it's this.
No, I want to talk about, I want to hear the other topic I want to talk about. I want to talk about everybody have an opinion about youth coaching and youth wrestling.
No, I would love that. And
all of us from the 1% chair too. Just remember that. Let's talk about it.
All right, brother. Later, man.
See ya. Thank you.